Awakening, the hero cannot make sense of the sight. A girl calls his name. Ed opens his eyes and the vision fades. She keeps checking to see if he is okay. The boy feels as if his legs are made of cotton wool. He asks Mina for forgiveness out loud, says everything is fine, and suggests they hurry and get to work before the others. Mina starts running too and smiles in agreement. A girl hangs out the laundry and sings about how she cleans, washes, and dries it. She says it's a beautiful day because they have work today. Mina keeps calling Ed, but he doesn't hear her. Ed thinks about what happened and can't make sense of what he saw when he fell. That was his former life. Mina screams into his ear. He only hears her then. She asks what happened and says she might hit him. The man tries to calm her, but the smiling girl promises to heal him. Ed is stunned. She laughs and cries out that it hurts. The hero replies he understands and won't do it again. The heroes receive payment for their work. Mina counts out 3 coins. The woman says they gave extra. The girl thanks the woman. As the women start talking about them, the heroes leave. One dislikes having to let those kids in again. The other agrees but points out that Mina works a lot. Ed listens silently as the first woman calls them children from the slums, the black-haired man and the girl. Mina distracts him and quickly asks him to go with her, and he agrees while trying to convince himself he does not care. Today you won't need to worry about food. They hand the man a bag with 3 coins, ask him to give it as usual, and add some beans. Mina is glad she was able to buy food today and won't share it with anyone. Ed believes they are doing everything they can to survive. 8 years ago, the city fell, and refugees settled outside the walls of Trier. Locals call the place El Herda. Many here hope to return to the city and live a happy life. Apparently that's their goal. In his 6 years of life, Ed has never seen anything beyond this place. At Melon's hospital, the heroes arrive, and Mina calls out that they're home. Inside, a woman apologizes for having no money right now, and another says it's all right. She can pay when she has the money, so everything is fine. A woman greets Mina and Ed and turns out to be Mina's mother. Mina throws herself into her arms and says they did the laundry today. The mother praises them for it. Mina says they earned 3 copper coins for the work and bought beans, and Mom notes the beans are healthy, so she will cook them for dinner. Turning to Ed, she praises him and promises to cook dinner soon, and the boy agrees, saying this is his house where he, Mina, and his parents live together. Seated at the table, the heroes thank Monsieur Le Falliere for his blessing. Mom says Dad will be late, so they'll start eating without him. Mina wishes everyone bon appetit. Ed tastes one and winces in horror. Mom asks what happened and whether the beans are really bad. The boy denies it. The girl eats some and says they taste completely normal. The hero agrees and says the beans are cooked as usual. However, he now has a taste of it from another world. The heroes drift off to sleep. Ed now believes he understands how truly terrible life here is. Mina moves closer and whispers his name in her sleep while he hugs her back. The girl mutters that Ed is warm, and the boy thinks he has to get out of this. Mina says it's a shame since they have no work today, and Ed agrees and hopes Mom will be able to earn money today because they care too much about people to refuse them. The girls start biting at the air. One keeps grinding her teeth when the hero asks what she is doing. Mina points to a cloud and says she is eating it. The cloud is so big someone could eat too much of it. Sad Ed calls her by name, then her stomach starts to rumble, and the girl laughs in embarrassment. The hero can no longer live like this. Grabbing her hand, he pulls her along. She does not know where he is taking her. They arrive at the field. Mina doesn't understand what happened or what he's doing. The man tells her to pick some wildflowers too. She asks again. He says he is looking for edible grass. The girl is surprised. Ed adds that some flowers are edible. The man next door once ate too many of them. That man knew they were edible. If you know which flowers are edible, the man does not finish his sentence, and at that moment, a beetle attacks Mina. Thinking about food, the hero Ed gained a lot of knowledge and now remembers his past life, and along with learning how bad it was, he learned many useful things. The hero starts breathing hard. Mina asks what happened. The hero suspects this could be evaluation magic. Evaluation windows pop up with information about the plants. The window shows information about what he saw. Showing it to Mina, he finds she does not understand the hero's request. Ed realizes she cannot see. The hero checks the evaluation window and thinks this is his ability and should be normal. They only need to try the raven eye. He waves a handful of grass and says they'll collect it from now on. Mina doubts him, but he reassures her that the grass is edible. The girl hesitates about eating it and worries it will give them a stomachache. Ed lights a fire, tells her she does not have to eat it, and says he will try it first so she can see everything is fine. If his memory is right, the young shoots can be eaten whole. Crumbling rock salt, the hero realizes he cannot cook complex dishes here. Beans contain many toxins, so they must be fried thoroughly. Mina still doubts at first, then smiles at the tempting aroma. The hero declares it's done. A rating window opens above the food. It confirms everything is cooked correctly. The boy tries it. Mina brightens and asks how it tastes. Ed says it's not that bad. It would be better with some seasoning. It tastes like peas. After a brief pause, the girl shouts that she wants to eat too, which startles the boy. Mina tastes it and says it's bitter. She finds it bitter but pleasant, so she eats quickly, and Ed asks her to slow down because only a little is left. Afterwards, Mina asks if there is more, and the hero reminds her they must make sure they're safe first and tells her not to overeat and get sick. The mother comes back and asks the children to forgive her because dinner is today. Surprised, she stops mid-sentence. The hero says Mina ate and then fell asleep, and he doesn't know why he remembers his past life or where this strange magic came from. This power will let them live better, and Ed promises to make Mina happy. He feels more confident now, and Mom says that is good. Ed remembers his mother asking for his forgiveness because she had to leave and apologizing that she could not stay with him. At that moment, the hero did not understand what was happening. The woman continued, saying that even if people said bad things about his dark hair, he should not. She did not finish. His mother gave him something and told him to sell it if he ran into trouble. Mina's father then asked whether Tamaria really wanted to leave, and she confirmed it. Needing to look after her son, the woman left. The hero dreams of his mother and is jolted awake when Mina kicks him in the face. The man calls it a day, forces those who remain out, and orders them back to the slums, saying they will not succeed if they stay. Pushing the hero, he shouts that people with black hair don't belong here. Ed rubs his head and says it was bad. A man arrives, boasts about how they landed the job, asks whether the hero is jealous, and recognizes Harris. He agrees, says they won't find anything here, and urges Mina to leave at once. Mina agrees and runs off with him. Harris wonders who they are, and his comrade says the heroes are stubborn. Mina is glad they will start collecting. Mina finds a crow's eye. The boy praises her, calls it a bean, thinks they can gather a lot of food, and wonders how skilled he is. She continues to collect grass. Ed tries it and shouts the word evaluation. Many windows appear in front of him. He is surprised he can evaluate everything in his field of vision, but then his head starts to hurt. The boy thinks he is using magic after all, and the more he uses it, the weaker he will become. Mina walks up to him and asks what happened. A window above her head shows her name and that she is an elf. Ed says nothing happened and there is no need to worry about the food. It's not magic. The girl agrees. He explains that here many poisonous plants grow mixed with edible ones, so people from the slums avoid them. He realizes things are not so bad. The evaluation window shows what is edible. The hero holds up dandelions and says they're edible. Mina asks if they really are and calls Ed amazing because he knows everything, and the guy laughs and agrees. The girl asks whether it's magic. The hero says it's not hard, just evaluation magic, and credits her. Mina thinks. Mina shouts that Ed is a cool, magic-using hero, and Ed doubts she really understands him, so he asks her to keep it secret because he does not know what it is, and Mina shouts that she understands. The hero suggests they keep gathering edible flowers, and the girl happily agrees. Mina rolls in the grass while Ed gathers it, noticing there is a lot of useful stuff here. In the slums, all they can get is rock salt, used to try to make the food taste better. The hero decides he needs to search more. A girl calls to him to show something oddly shaped. She is interested in it. He understands what it is. They come home and say today they stayed one step ahead of hunger and are eager for a delicious meal. Noticing there isn't even a knife in the house, Ed uses his mother's thing. As he cuts the grass, Mina admires him and calls him cool. The hero explains they should boil to remove the alkali, then chop the garlic and make the sauce. He asks Mina for help, and she happily agrees. Ed suggests taking more beans and asks Mina to sort the other herbs. Father comes home and is very surprised by what he sees and wonders if it really is a holiday. Mina greets him, and Mother says she was surprised too because the children prepared everything. They agree to start eating before the food gets cold and thank La Folie for his blessing, saying bon appetit to one another. Mina beams, the taste is delightful. She asks about the flavor. Dad suggests it might just be wildflowers. Mom points out they have no scent. It says garlic sauce is the best. For the second course, Krazi beans arrive, and the girl notices they are unlike regular beans. The hero says adding peas and dandelion roots made the food crispy and quite tasty. Mom keeps marveling at how Ed makes such delicious dishes with only rock salt and flowers. The boy hands her a cup and asks her to taste it, all because of this. Everyone tries it and can't help smiling. For the third dish, Elle's mushroom soup, the parents enjoy its taste. Ed says he boiled the mushrooms in bean broth while Mina says she found them herself. Dad realizes wildflowers can make delicious dishes, and Mom supports him. Until now, they had been eating completely different food. The girl happily says this is her first time tasting such delicious food, so she wants to eat it again. Noticing her mother's reaction, she asks for forgiveness because she cannot. That cuts her off and blames him. Ed steps into the conversation and tells Mina that everything is fine. Now they can enjoy delicious food every day. He asks whether Guido and Meln agree with him. They agree, and Mina supports them as well. Shouting that Ed is their savior, she agrees with everything. The hero watches her and chuckles. The girl wishes everyone bon appetit and quickly begins to gobble the food, saying how delicious it is. Guido says he is glad he can eat his fill in the morning. Milne thanks Ed, who replies there is no need for gratitude. The father notices the boy looks like Tamarius, and the mother says she raised Ed well too. Just as he is about to say something about his father, Mina says she is finished. Now full, she says she can't eat anymore, notes Dad didn't bring much earlier and asks him to try harder. Guido laughs and says it will be hard, and the others laugh too. About to leave, the father tells Ed and Mina that gathering is fine, but warns them not to go too deep into the forest because it is dangerous, and the girl asks him to try harder at work. The hero reminds Guido of their earlier talk, but the man interrupts and says he has no idea what they're talking about. Ed remembers the words about his father and says out loud he didn't mean anything. Mina gathers grass and hums, while the man realizes he hasn't cared for his parents and considers asking about them, but the girl interrupts his thoughts. She shows she has picked many wildflowers so they can eat beans again today, and wonders whether eating a lot will make Ed feel better. The hero tries to hide his condition and wonders if he really looks bad. Mina realizes she must have been mistaken. Ed thinks the same. No longer worried about his parents, whose whereabouts he doesn't know, he says Mina and the others are his family now. Pointing at the flowers, he adds that half of them are inedible, which surprises Mina. Melon is treating patients. A woman comes to the reception complaining that her cough keeps coming back and won't stop. Mina's mother calls the woman over and uses healing magic. A woman asks if the patient is feeling better, and the patient says she is. Then Mina and Ed enter the room and the girl announces they are home. Melon asks the woman to come back if she feels tired, and the woman thanks her for the help. Mina notices the woman has been coming in more often lately. The patient confirms and says her throat is not improving. The hero conducts a thorough evaluation. Seeing the woman has bacterial pharyngitis, he hears Melon say he can ease her pain with healing, but the slums are not the right place to treat disease. It will be very difficult, and the hero thinks about the bacterial inflammation. Ed realizes that in another world medicine could cure him, and he shouts that he understands. The boy makes a special herbal tea blend and shows it to Melm. She asks if it is tea. Millie notices a strange smell. The hero confirms it is herbal tea. He selected and blended herbs that fight bacteria. The woman did not know the word antibacterial. The hero explained that it means the herbs have a healing effect and realized bacteria are not known here. Dried in the shade, the herbs keep well, and Ed thinks they will ease symptoms over time. Mel says she understands and tries the tea. Tasting it, the woman says it is good and refreshing. The hero says they can make a lot of it. Mina calls out that she wants to try it too, but grimaces at the unusual taste. They become interested in making a children's version. After drinking the decoction, the patient's throat feels better, and she thanks Melon for her help, but Melon says everything is fine. She gives all the credit to Ed, not herself, and the boy, embarrassed, says he only wanted to help. Ed promises the woman everything she wants, but she refuses. She would like to but cannot, and Ed does not understand why. She says she recognizes the taste because herbs like these were very expensive in her hometown, and her words greatly surprise Ed and Mina. Ed says it wasn't a plant. Mina asks where they're going today. The hero says he's heading to Dordan's. The girl assumes he wants to buy beans. He denies it and they will do something else today. The boy thinks no one else will collect this wild plant. He never imagined you could make money from tea. He needs to check whether that is true. Ed knocks on the door and calls for Mr. Dordan. Mr. Dordan greets the children, says it's been a long time since they've seen each other and they seem well, and asks if they came for beans. The hero says that's not true and that he wanted to know something. The man wonders why him. Ed says there's no other store that serves children from the slums. Showing the bag, he asks Mr. Dordan to check the price. The man asks whether it is tea and whether the hero made it himself. The hero confirms this. Now the merchant understands. He asks them to step inside and wait a moment. The boy looks surprised to be called inside. Jordan says he needs to check with his wife. The heroes look even more surprised. Ed sits in horror when the man asks for a consultation. Mina is at first surprised that it is their first time inside, asks what it is, then falls asleep. Then Dordan calls them. All this time they kept checking and tasting the tea. The man says it's better to leave the tea in the store and asks if the hero agrees. The boy hesitantly agrees. Mina spreads the grass and asks Ed to serve the next one. The boy thinks it over afterward. If he hadn't found and tried the herb, the tea wouldn't have been worth it. Then someone approaches Ed and says he works here. Mr. Doradin, brought by Mina's father, appears in the slums, surprising the children, and asks to learn more about how the product they will sell is made. Doradin sees this as where the tea leaves grow. Ed confirms it and, shocked, asks whether the man really said they were going to sell them. Smiling, he says he wants to sell their tea through him and will keep buying it, which surprises the boy and makes him wonder if the tea leaves are very valuable. Dryden says he labeled it and sold it to wealthy customers at a premium because the taste is worth it. Mina says she does not understand what he is talking about. Guido says it is a healthy tea. Ed says it is a merchant's business. Mr. Doradin says their success depends on product quality. Giving out free samples earned them a good reputation, and now nothing stands in their way. That's why the man came to ask the hero if he would agree to the proposal, and Ed happily agreed, so they shook hands and made a deal. Grabbing their hands, Mina says the deal is on. Mina shakes hands with everyone there. The boy asks if she knows what she is doing. The girl replies she has no idea. She's glad everyone wants tea too. Doradin hands a bag to the hero and asks him to take it. The hero asks what it is. The family is told that revenue depends on recent sales and that he also includes a fee for future orders, which surprises them. Mina snatches the coin and accuses Mr. Doradin of tricking them, saying the money is fake, and the man is baffled by her reaction. The girl says real money isn't that color and that it has always been brown. Ed tries to calm her, saying it's just silver and she had only seen copper coins before. Widow says there's more than his salary in there. Ed and Mina brought Mr. Doradin a week's worth of goods. Mr. Doradin accepted them and said he would look them over. He paid them and thanked them for their efforts. The hero thanked him in return, and Mina was happy with the money. After saying goodbye to the merchant, someone calls out to them. Harris says he saw Ed leaving the store and asks what they've been doing since they haven't been working lately. The boy assumes the hero has money. He replies he'll never give it up. The boys surround them and shout at Ed to hand over everything quickly. One of the children holds a sign that reads, "Lighting a fire, 1 copper coin." They are up to their old tricks again. Harris punches the hero in the cheek. Manu screams the hero's name, but the other boys hold him down. Harris says he knows people with black hair bring bad luck, so he blames Ed for the poverty in the slums. The others urge him on, push him to do it, and see that the hero is not so brave anymore. Mina struggles to get free and shouts that her mother said black hair is just a fairy tale. Harris lifts Ed by the neck and challenges him to prove it if he is wrong. Ed refuses to back down. Ed's insolent look angers Harris. He shouts that he doesn't like Ed and swings again. Mina asks him to stop. Then someone jumps onto the boys' heads. A child is screaming for everyone to stop. Stunned, the hero is very surprised. Everyone recognizes Raineia. People ask what she's doing since she has nothing to do with it. The girl says she has everything to do with it. She says you can't single out one person in a crowd, and if Ed does not hit back, she will hit them with her flame. Harris quietly says this is a problem and tells the others to leave quickly. Raineia checks that Ed is okay and says he deserves credit. The girl offers to help him up. The hero admits he is not physically strong. Mina jumps onto Raineia. She thanks the girl for her help and calls her a savior. The dark-haired girl tells him not to exaggerate, and Ed uses evaluation magic to reveal she is also from the slums and was born into a family naturally gifted in magic. Raineia asks to forget it and says she was just passing through looking for work. The elf asks whether the girl is paid for the flame. She says yes, though it doesn't bring in much, and then asks whether the heroes wanted to buy the beans. Ed replies that they were selling them. They hold up a silver coin. Raineia is surprised and asks where the money came from. The heroes try to explain. And Mina, Shorani from the field now, understands what they are doing. She would never think of picking wildflowers because her mother also buys food. The hero says the refugees were city dwellers after all. The girl worries it might be dangerous and mentions snakes and wolves here. Ed says he has not seen any, though Gito warned them not to go far from the city. At that moment, Mina calls them to come and see what she found. She shows she has found the mushroom again. Raineia is surprised by its strange shape. The elf says it is soft and tasty when you bite it. Ed stops her and explains that, unfortunately, although it looks like that mushroom, it is a fly agaric and is poisonous. Mina is surprised. He shows another one, the one you can eat, and the elf calls it cool. Ronnie can see it now, but she wonders how he could tell them apart since they seem the same, and the hero explains. Now the girl realizes this is evaluation magic, discovers that Ed has an unusual power, and agrees when the boy asks her to keep it secret. At that moment, Mina spots a new mushroom. Ed warns it is not edible either. Raineia shows the next one, and it is also poisonous. The boy shows the third one and says Mr. Doradin said these sell well. The girls agree. If they sell well, they will eat well. They decide to gather more and go home. Raineia notices Mina's excitement. They realize it's like a treasure hunt. The elf agrees and says she is with her friends searching for treasure. This treasure will bring us real money. Ed is the sage in their group who knows everything, and the fire sorcerer is Raineia, who is Mina. The girl cannot find her strength, so the others reassure her that everything is fine. They announce they had collected enough and that there would be a feast tonight. Raineia is surprised by the news. Mina offers to join them for dinner. Ed says they must go prepare everything, but there is a problem. He doesn't know which road to take. Elphika is scared. They do not know how to get back. Raineia notices Elphika has been completely carried away by the process and does not know what to do. The hero tries to calm them and says they can find the way through the trees and their shadows. Pointing the way, he assumes they came from there. Mina notices something and says she hears some sounds. Ed says he understands everything and that they just need to move forward quickly and carefully. Ed asks them to stay together. A huge monster blocks their path, a goblin. He begins screaming back the children's screams. They dodge the goblin's blow. Ed shouts they need to run and the girls agree. The goblin overtakes him, so the hero realizes the goblin is fast and runs after the girls. Grabbing his opponent, the boy asks how he likes it. They roll on the ground, and then the monster grabs Ed by the neck. Ronnie screams that she will act and unleashes fire magic. The goblin bursts into flames and screams. Mina and Ed are amazed by the power, but they panic when the goblin gets up and runs after them again because it is relentless. The monster attacks the hero again. He can barely hold his hand. Raineia can no longer use her strength. Mina begins screaming Ed's name louder and louder. Mina does not want to die. The elf screams that they will not lose. At that moment, something happens to the boy. A surge of power makes him realize he can do it. Ed headbutts, grabs his weapon, and attacks the goblin back. This is how he defeats the monster. Studying his hands, the hero thinks about the power as an inscription appears beside them saying he is blessed, and he assumes Mina did it while the girls run over to see if he is okay, and the boy thanks them for their help. Mina doesn't understand because she didn't do anything. Ed doesn't know how to say it correctly and suggests they talk when they get home. First, they must leave the forest. Then strange sounds drift through the trees. 3 goblins step out of the thickets. The heroes are frightened. 8 years ago, monsters poured out of the demon kingdom, and people fled the horde. The horde swept through the kingdom of Merlia's northern city, placing Alania directly in its path, and its misfortunes did not end there. Merlia had fallen into political turmoil. Fearing war, the feudal lords did not send an army. Surrounded by monsters and without help, the only option was to flee the city. They thought so, but seeing 3 goblins arrive, he realizes this is very bad. The hero tells the girls to run while he distracts the monsters. Mina resists and the boy tells them not to look back. The girls fumble for an excuse, but he shouts that everything is fine. The monsters attack. Ed yells for the girls to run. They worry about him, and the hero attacks the goblins. Suddenly someone jumps out of the bushes and attacks the monsters, and the goblins start running away. The hero finishes by warning the children not to enter the forest alone and asks whether they are hurt. His assistant appears nearby. Ed thanks him for the help. At that moment, Mina and one of the heroes scream as they recognize each other. The man is revealed to be Guido, Mina's father. The man tells the children this is why he warned them not to leave the city, because they almost lost their lives and do not understand, while Mina is very frightened by the scream and Guido exhales. Hugging the children, he says they scared him a lot and apologizes, adding that it's good they are safe now. Mina apologizes, but the man says everything is fine. The archer says they are lucky because they were also following the goblins' tracks. Raineia wonders whether they were hunting goblins. They explained they were monitoring the monsters' activities on the Lord's orders for the Seekers Guild. Mina asks whether this is Dad's work. The widow confirms it and shares a story from before they were born. He then asks whether they know the story of the stampede in Alania. Ed says the man who managed to escape founded the Slums. The archer interrupts to agree, saying those creatures can destroy an entire city. The hero says the Lord is watching over them. Ed thinks it over. The men see things are getting better. They decide who will handle the monsters. Then they spot one more. Mina announces Ed can help too. The men are taken aback. The hero hesitantly admits that all 3 were involved. The adventurers still do not believe it. The archer says he understands and asks the children to stay back. Mina doesn't understand what they're doing. The man handles the monsters, and the children are told these are miasmas released by the monsters, which are dangerous, hard to wash off, and should not be approached. Widow explains that even after 8 years, the refugees cannot return to Alania because the miasma the horde brought still corrodes the city. The archer asks Ed to take it and warns him to be careful, saying it should not be handled with bare hands. The boy sees it as a magic stone used as a power source alongside magical crystals and artifacts. The hero asks if they can take it. The man says since they defeated the goblins it's their loot, and selling it will earn a nice profit, not bad for one adventure. Ed agrees. The men say the forest slugs will eat the rest, and suggest the little travelers return to the city. Raineia calls to Ed. He asks her to forgive him, admitting he invited her and ended up putting her in danger. She says everything is fine and that she wants to apologize. The hero is surprised. The girl says she once thought he couldn't stand up for himself, but Ed proved different and became a brave man who stood up to the monsters. She apologizes and thanks him and Mina for keeping her safe. Mina screams in time with the light. At last they return. Ed says it's been a long day, and Guido calls the children and asks them to listen. A man says he doesn't want to put them in danger, but a problem remains. He knows he cannot stop them from going into the forest to find food. They are poor because the adults do not go either. Also, as long as they stay behind walls, the danger from monsters is unavoidable. He wants the heroes to learn to defend themselves. For example, show how to spot and avoid danger with knives. Guido asks the swordsman to teach this to the children and to share with him a tasty mushroom he picked up on the way back. The father tells Mina that it is time for her to learn magic. Mom will explain everything to her so she can help Ed and Raineia if they are in danger. The girl stands in shock, unsure she can cope and aware she still needs to study. Raineia encourages her, and they use magic too. Ed tells her not to worry and guarantees that Mina definitely has magic talent. After the elf asks again and the hero repeats his confirmation, Mina says that since Ed said it, she will try her best. They all head to the Trade Ventures Guild. The children ask whether outsiders are really allowed to come. A man confirms they are. Explaining that they always need new adventurers, he asks them to come in because this is a rare opportunity, and Mina happily agrees while Raineia notices that Ed has stayed at the entrance. He remembers what happened half an hour earlier. Mr. Jordan then told them he could not buy the magic stones from them. Ed asked why he refused. The merchant said the man ran his own sales network that reached beyond the city. The boy assumed the guild supplied the connection. A swordsman then entered the room and asked why the man had not said it directly. Jordan asked West to see the children off. West was surprised by the request. The swordsman led everyone into the noisy adventure guild. Raineia asks whether they can sell magic stones here. Mina pinches her nose and notices a strange smell. They tell her it smells like alcohol. Raineia notices Ed's odd reaction again and asks if he is worried, and Ed says he's a little worried because there are many strangers, and he remembers them talking about his black hair, calling him unhappy and telling him not to come near. He wonders what else people might say about him. She tries to cheer him and says it's fine because she's there. The boy reluctantly agrees. Someone walks up and asks who they are. He wonders why the slum children are here. The heroes are frightened. The man notices something rare and asks why the hero's hair is black. Raineia searches for words while Ed covers his head. At that moment, Mina shields them with her body. Holding the magic stone, the elf says they came to sell it. The adventurer is stunned and asks whether they are joking. West answers proudly that it is true because the children defeated the goblin. The men begin to whisper that it might not be true because they are younger than their children. Everyone says the heroes are cool. When the seekers ask how they did it, Mina smiles and says Raineia uses magic and Ed uses a sword. The seekers are surprised that such a small girl can use magic. Children are small but do big things, and men ask to touch them, reaching for the boy without waiting for consent. The first man hoists Ed onto his shoulders, asks how it feels to slay monsters at his age, calls him a future hero, and the others cheer and raise a glass to his health. Ed apologizes, reminds the man he mentioned black hair, and asks whether that seems odd, while the adventurer asks again. He says that's not true and that he only meant such hair is rare. Another says that in Marlia black hair is associated with bad people. It's just a historical thing. The adventurer urges him to look around. People, gnomes, giants, and dwarves are here. Rujan's group includes people from different places. He does not mention appearance, and the boy should not assume their inner lives are shaped by hair color. The second person asks whether black hair brings bad luck and how much luckier others are than he is. Raineia reassures Ed that there is nothing to worry about, and the boy agrees happily. Then they are led to the right place where they are told it sells magic stones and to ask at the counter on the second floor. The man asks them to be careful and not to worry when they meet, and the children agree hesitantly. Raineia says their uncle really frightened them. Ed agrees. Then they hear a scream and someone asks how this happened. The woman scolds the man, saying procedural violations are his responsibility at work, and after that only angry indignation is heard, and he runs away in tears, screaming that he is very sorry. Noticing the heroes, the girl sternly asks if they need anything. They only scream in response. They run off and ask for forgiveness. She calls out and asks them to wait. The woman asks if they are the children who made noise on the first floor. At this point, she notices Mena is an elf. Apologizing for being rude, she mutters that this face, this hair, this girl must be purebred. Ed tries to get attention. She asks sternly what is needed. The children are frightened again. Confused, the hero doesn't know how she is related to Mena. A man comes over and explains that elves usually value pureblood lineage. When the heroes ask who he is, he winks and says he sells his knowledge to the guild and serves as an appraiser here. Raineia recalls hearing about him in the elven lands to the north. They always preserve their genealogy. The man says their administrator is also from the north. This woman is 70% purebred. As a mixed-race person, she is fortunate to work as a secretary. At that moment, the woman asks what Mena wanted to sell. Ed asks whether this means his lineage traces back to the old elves, and the appraiser says he is quite certain. His interest reaches everyone, from the young lady to the black-haired boy, and this surprises the hero. The hero hides his hair. The man tells him not to worry and says he will not cause trouble because he is a child of failure. The man asks Ed his name and Ed answers, then asks where Ed was born and where his parents are from, and Ed says he has lived in the slums for as long as he can remember and that his parents are from there too. The appraiser interrupts and asks about the origin of the black hair, whether he really does not know. Ed confirms this. Then the man asks permission to speak. This is not a fictional tale. The story of the black-haired child who brought misfortune is based on historical facts. This is not a story about people with black hair causing trouble. Long ago, a war began over a person with black hair. The greed of those around that person led to a catastrophe. It is a very complicated story. The administrator calls the appraiser, Mr. Hoplum, and asks him to appraise the magic stone. Mr. Hoplum turns away and asks the boy to be careful. Anyone can feel anger, even without the curse of black hair. West asks whether they sold the stone, and a smiling Mena shows they got 5 silver coins for it. Ed thinks about the man's last words and turns to look at him. The elf asks why he fell behind. The boy asks to be forgiven. Mr. Hoplum turns to Mikitsia. She asks what he wants. A man wants to send a message to the Lord. The administrator asks what the message should say. Oppum says he found a black-haired boy in the slums of Treya. That's all that needs to be conveyed. At the center of the city of Troy, a servant tells Count Thomas Roman Tubauer that Mr. Hopham has sent a message for the Lord telling him to speak. The servant reported that the man had found a black-haired boy from the slums. The Lord realized the black-haired man had come to the city, and the girl peered from behind the curtain, wondering if his hair was truly as black as in a fairy tale. This map shows Treya City, a fortified settlement built to protect against monsters from the north, and includes Treya Castle, the new town, the castle wall, a slum, lanyarda, and farmland. Guru Mena uses her healing skill on another girl. Everything heals instantly, and Ed notices Mena has talent. The girl claimed to be a healer who could cure anything. Then she went over to Ed, said she wanted to heal more, and told him to get seriously injured. Raineia pointed out that despite everything, they hadn't collected much today. Ed pointed to tracks that showed someone had already been gathering here. Maybe they had heard about their expeditions and decided to do the same. Raineia said they were stealing their food. He said wildflowers belong to no one. It is better to worry that someone may not know which plants are edible. They might pick poisonous ones. The woman told the children to follow Ed and eat mushrooms. The hero hopes this will not cause problems for Melm. Raineia said that in any case there is not enough here and you need to search a little more. Mena called out that it was time to move on. The heroes walked through the forest and reached a dead end. They can't get up, they'll have to turn back. Mena noticed something. A passage ran along the rock. It was small. Curious, the healer inspected the passage. She climbed in. She hoped to find treasure there. Her friends tried to stop her. Ed shouted that there was nothing there. Inside, the girl could not see anything. Raineia stepped inside and used her fire ability to light the room. Mena thanked her friend. The girl said the passage was long and told Ed to go inside. Crawling deeper, the hero said the main thing was to avoid running into monsters. A light glowed in the distance. Raineia realized it was the exit. Mena hoped they would find something interesting, while Ed feared they might run into monsters. The heroes stepped out of the narrow passage. They found themselves in a garden and were surprised. Apples grew on the trees and were edible. The girls assumed they were probably a wild species. Ed suggested Mina try one, and she bit into it. The girls really enjoyed it. They are seeing it for the first time. The fruit tastes very sweet. Raineia went to another bush and said this can be eaten too. It was a raspberry. Children enjoyed eating the berries. Thanks to Ed, the hero thinks it's a treasure, and Raineia said this place is like heaven. Hidden inside the rocks are trees unlike those outside. It is a real fruit paradise. The only entrance is a narrow passage only children can climb, so no one has ever been there. It meant this was a secret place for the three of them, and it was all because of our curiosity. Mina is wondering how much Dorotin will pay for them. Raineia said they haven't sold much fruit since Alania was destroyed. Those fruits are likely expensive. These fruits appear past their peak ripeness. They may not be sold in time, and the hero does not want to waste his energy on a lost cause. A new idea struck him. Back home, their mother greeted them. They were surprised to find her at home. When Raineia asked why she was there, the woman said Melon was busy at the hospital, so she had come to help, thanked Ed and Mina for going with Raineia, and said sharing mushrooms had been a big help. The girl's mother said they'd found something good today too. Ed checked his basket and said they'd picked a lot of fruit. They needed to make jam before the fruit spoiled. Mina did not know what kind of jam it was. The boy explained that boiling the fruit stops bacteria from growing. They need to make sure it does not rot too quickly. Adding some sugar helps, and it is unlikely to work without sugar. The woman said honey could be used instead of sugar. It should be sold nearby. Previously, it was collected every year and sold wholesale to traders and to other cities. Raineia was surprised her mother had made jam. Her mother said she had made it while living in Aldania. Ed asked her to help them because it was their first time, and she agreed. He thanked her and said they were going to Mr. Dorden for honey. Mom reminded them about the container for the jam. After the man agreed to sell them honey, they picked fruit and came home with full baskets. By the stove, jars were already being sterilized over the fire. That was the disinfection stage. Then the children peeled the apples together. The jam gave off a pleasant aroma. They waited impatiently. After that, she handed them some to try. It was very sweet, and the children said it tasted great and would sell out quickly. Darden said he buys their jam. It hasn't circulated since Aldania was destroyed, and plenty of people want to buy it. The man wanted to sell more, but there were none left. Ed said they cannot pick apples until next year. The man then moved on to payment. He gave them the amount after deducting the cost of the containers and honey he had paid for. Mina said it felt a bit. Raineia said it was because honey wasn't very expensive. The man simply smiled. The bag held gold coins. Ed didn't know how to handle so much money. Their mother said they could buy a lot of beans with that money. Mina doesn't understand how they will manage, because they can't eat that much. Raineia hands the coin to her mother and tells her to make the most of it. Refusing, she said she was proud of them and that they earned the money through their own efforts. They can take anything they want with them. They can use them to buy what they want. If they are unsure what they want, she can give them advice. They don't have to take it now. The most important thing is awareness. Living in the slums offers nothing good. The hero hesitates to spend his gold coins. Raineia said she wants too much of everything, and that is her problem. Their funds are limited, so they must choose wisely. Ed is considering whether he can invest in this world. Raineia asked Mina what she wanted. She replied that she wanted to eat something tasty, and that it was good to visit a few places now and then to get some energy. Mina noticed that since Ed began taking them out to find food, they ate well every time. The girl always wants to share delicious meals with them. Raineia's hero agreed with their friend. When someone asked the kids if they should really spend money on something like this, Ed said they needed to be safe while packing, called it an investment in themselves, and bought a backpack, a sword, and boots. The girls bought leather armor and 2 mage staves, a black mage's staff and a short light mage's staff. Ronnie's mother said it fit them perfectly. The man said they seemed like seasoned adventurers. The children felt embarrassed. The children decided to set out today for adventures. As they were about to say goodbye to their loved ones, someone asked them to wait a moment. A girl appeared, looked at Ed, and asked whether he was really the boy with black hair. She was surprised to see him here. Surprised, the unfamiliar girl saw a black-haired boy here. She said people combined fear and strength to drive the hated child away, and that people with black hair bring trouble. She assumed he was being bullied by those words, and the heroes look at her, bewildered by how frightened he was. Convinced the man expected her to blame him, she wasn't naive enough to take those stories seriously. Several theories explain the superstition's origin. It comes from harmful rumors about people with black hair. She was told that this is what happened. being fooled by such a tale is hard to beat. Ed asked why she called him. She said she couldn't help asking about the black hair. Then she asked where Doradin's store was. She comes from the Second Bauer family, a house of counts that governs the northwestern region of the Merlia Kingdom, including the capital Tria, and its members are Countess Katie, Earl Thomas, the eldest daughter Marie Lou, and the second daughter Elena. A few days ago at breakfast, the Count said apple jam is rare. He asked the butler where it came from. The butler said it was from the Doradin shop in the city. The Countess noted it was the same shop where she had recently bought some delicious herbal tea. Marie Lou and Elena did not know what softness and personal closeness felt like. Their father realized they were tasting jam for the first time. The second daughter was born after Alania was destroyed. The man had not seen him for over 8 years. Katie said you couldn't help loving it. The jam tasted delicious. The girl spread the jam on the bread and took a bite. The sisters enjoyed it a lot. They started scolding their father for not speaking up about that taste. Mina said they knew where it was and invited the girl to come with her. Elena said it was her first time and introduced herself. The healer said her name as well. Ed noticed the townspeople staring at them, or only at Eli, and they were clearly talking about the Count's daughter. Raineia said Elena's clothes are very beautiful and that she looks like a princess. Mina twirled and said she had new clothes too. Ed said even if they were second-hand, they looked good on her. Eli thought they were cute and wonderful. They suited Mina. She explained that her words were true, and the Count's daughter confirmed everything. The healer ran forward happy. Raineia said she was kind, honest, and good. Ed agreed with her. The heroes reached the shop door. Elena swaggered into the shop. She said she had heard this shop sold apple jam and asked them to give her some. The store owner asked Ed to come to his place. Yes, he asked why the heroes were with her. He explained the girl had only asked how to get to his store. The man asked if the guy knew who it was. The man could not understand why the woman was here. She turned to face him. Doradin confirmed they had jam, but it had sold out because it was so popular. Eli was upset that she could no longer eat it. Mina asked if she still wanted the jam. Then it's at their place. Ed said there were 2 or 3 cans left. They could share it. They decided to head home now for jam. Doradin recognized the Count's daughter, and his wife suggested reporting it to the castle. Elena thanked them for helping. She had heard it was rare and expensive. Elena couldn't believe they had it. They came from a very rich family. Entering the slums, she immediately regretted her words. She asked what had happened here. Mina said it was Lanirda. Eli said she knew there were slums, but it still shocked her. They said they had to be stricter with Lanirda, or it would hurt Treya's finances. Refugees may keep coming, but their mercy is limited. Slums are a parasite that eats away at a city's health. The Count sighed and said this was a problem. Local children noticed Elena. They found her beautiful. The children moved toward her and began asking for something. Ed and Minnie stepped forward to stop them. The healer said this was her client. They realized she was their client and left her alone. Eli understood everything happening in the slums, but still did not know why Mina had taken her there. She believes this is just a road that leads to an expensive mansion. Mina said they arrived. After seeing their house, the accountant's daughter realized she had been mistaken and could not believe they actually lived in such a hovel. Mina told her mother they were home. Mel pointed out they had never brought anyone from the city before. The woman greeted the girl and said the slums might seem dirtier than the city, and Eli said the place was cleaner than the girl had expected. Seeing a sign that identified it as a hospital, she doubted treatment could be provided there. The woman replied it was certainly not a good business. Sick and wounded people were everywhere. The woman argued the place deserved free treatment. To Eli's surprise, medicine here was free. Melon said everyone has the right to be healthy. They came inside, and Mina began taking out the jam. Eli could hardly believe she had found it. She wondered why expensive jam was in the slums. Ed said it was because they made it themselves. Elena asked if they had really done it themselves, and the heroes smiled and confirmed they had. Climbing onto the roof, the young man said nothing like that existed in the slums, so they searched for everything in the forest. The situation was dangerous. They were fighting a goblin. Ronnie thought they were going to die. Surprised by the children's actions, despite their equal age, the Count's daughter listened, as Ed said they had come to collect herbs for tea. Mina said she met Eli because of the jam. Alana looked at her teacup and said she didn't like herbal tea, but she loved these because they had a real, delicate taste. She asked to take the jam they'd worked so hard on. At agreed, Mina turned her attention to the soldiers walking toward them. The Count's knights turned toward Lady Elena. Raineia and Ed looked confused by what was happening. Eli said she had been found. Standing up, she told everyone these people were her friends. She was here of her own free will with them and would tolerate their rude behavior. Mina called the girl and apologized for not telling her sooner that she was Elena's second bower, the daughter of Count Tria. She will likely rule this city, much to the hero's surprise. Eli said today was a very good day and thanked the guys. Ashamed for staying silent after seeing the slums with her own eyes, she realized that even in Lanyard, scorned by city residents, there are good people like them. She's eager to meet them again. Their light will make them trail Lanyard. The hero didn't understand what she meant about them changing the slums. Harris says this is the children's share for the day and reassures them that everyone will get an equal share, regardless of age. He asked someone to take some to Zell. The boy said he was not working today. Harris said he had a fever and that they needed to help each other. The children said goodbye. The boy walked home, and when he came in, he told his grandmother he had bought some beans. But his grandmother wasn't feeling well. Medical Center is the only medical facility in the slums. In a world with a chronic shortage of doctors, it might be better placed in a wealthier area, but the elven family that runs it seems particularly attached to the neighborhood. Melon and Mina use their heal skill on Harris's grandmother. The boy asks about his grandmother's condition. She says she fell slightly while walking home. I wish I had never drooled. Then she thanks Dr. Melon for coming here. The woman explained that the broken bone had healed a while ago, but the grandmother needed a week of rest, and she was shocked that so much rest was required. The old lady doesn't see the point of being mobile if she can't eat. Harris said he'd take care of that. Ed stood outside. Seeing the family's home and belongings, he realized they were in terrible condition. He remembered Ellie's words about Lanyard being the last place in the city. Her concern was how it could be changed. Even if she wanted to do it all, eradicating such poverty would be difficult. After leaving the house, Mina said they were done. Harris followed them outside. The boy asked what the hero was doing here and whether he had really come to show off his new things. Ed wanted to help him somehow, but the other man told him to shut up. He refuses to accept his charity. He advised the man to buy something useful if he had money to spare. The woman asks Raineia where the purebred is. Raineia replies that she is representing Mina's interests because Mina could not come. The girl said everyone here is in no hurry. The woman noted this has been going on for some time. They have information that a gang of robbers has infiltrated Tria. They are sent to be cunning and cruel and to raid cities in the south. Because of this, all adventurers keep watch in 3 shifts. The elf heard they even capture city children and use them as bait. She insisted the noble, pure-blooded elves would not be swayed by their persuasion, but he warned the girl to be careful because such children are easily drawn in by their stories. Raineia told Ed and Mina about it and asked Mina to be careful. Mina assured them everything would be fine. The heroes pressed her, telling her to be more serious, and were not satisfied with her answer. Raineia realized Mina was overconfident. The hero grew interested in the robbers. He can't stop thinking about Harris' words that he should have his own money. Mina checked Harris' house and said he was not there. Ronnie can't see why her friend needs Harris. He shared his assumptions. The girls were surprised that Harris belonged to a criminal group. Ed said he was not confirming anything, especially now. Raineia was about to ask about getting money, but Mina interrupted and said they had to go stop him. They have to hurry to find Harris. The heroes split up, with Ed heading into the city, Mina searching the slums, and Raineia checking the store next door. All day they ran around the city searching. Unable to find him, he only learned that the gatekeeper had seen him walking into town. He asked about the children with him. Raineia said she saw them hiding but didn't have time to follow. That sounded suspicious. Suddenly Mina heard something. Hearing someone mention Harris, she ran toward the sound. She recognized the voice. It belonged to Ur's child, and they ran into the alley. The children say the target is a mansion, and the robbery will take place that evening, so the heroes race to stop it. Harris told his friends to go, and said he would stay behind after Ed called him. The boy asked whether he had any business with him. The protagonist knows he needs money, but if he's planning something harmful, he should stop. Harris said they probably misunderstood him. Ed shouted at him to stop being stupid. Mina overheard their conversations and heard them planning the robbery. Ed decided to stop him, said you would be his opponent, told Raineia to run, and offered to grab the boy himself. Harris grabbed the girls, punched Ed in the stomach, said he couldn't let her go, and threw the girl at the protagonist, stopping him. Harris can't see why the hero is bothering him. He's a black-haired boy who brings misfortune. He grabbed his sword. The boy laughs at the idea that the hero is actually going to fight him. He told the hero to leave, saying he would not back down. Needing the money now, he has no other choice. Ed tossed his sword aside and charged forward. He slapped Harris in the face and told him not to say things like that, insisting Harris does not bring bad luck. A fight broke out between the boys. Raineia and Minnu did not know how to separate them. Harris's friends returned unexpectedly and said they had been called. A crowd was walking toward the children. The man rewarded Harris and his friends. Their information helped catch the criminal. The reward was a bag of money. The woman said the boys had spotted a strange man luring children in the slums. They pretended to accept his invitation and called the soldiers. She asked what the heroes would do next, and Mina was relieved they hadn't made a mistake. Ed stood up and apologized to Harris. Harris explained why he had told him to leave. He couldn't really have thought the boy would rob someone. Ed said he thought so, and Harris was indignant. The soldier reassured them, saying he'd feel the same if he heard something like that, and there was no point in arguing now, and that they'd be better off cooperating in the future, though Harris wasn't sure that was possible. After dividing the money, Harris told his friends this was their share for the day. Each person would get the same amount. He then said they would weed the beds tomorrow and meet in the morning. Raineia was surprised that the hero taught Harris how to make tea and other things. It made her wonder whether he was really worth trusting. He said engaging in sustainable farming would be better than a one-time harvest, and that it would be more difficult without labor. All the kids love him, and he looks more like a leader than Ed. Harris saw the main character turn and asked why he was looking at him. He refused to thank him. The hero considered it a fair exchange. Elena's warning about cheating on Lanyard stays with him, and he wonders what will come of it. Mina noticed Harris called the hero simply Ed rather than black-haired, and their relationship has changed. Mina gives Ed her blessing and encourages him to do his best. The protagonist charges at a horned rabbit. He misses because the rabbit keeps running. Swinging his sword, he tries to catch the rabbit. Without warning, someone struck the animal with fire. Raineia said everything was happening too slowly, warned that if he kept acting so slowly, the sun would set sooner, and suggested they move on. They were now on the eastern mountain at the guild's request. Near the city of Tria lie the Elder River Road, Watch Mountain, and the Hell Mountains. Watch Mountain is a small peak northeast of Tria. Atop the mountain stands a tower where the Knights of Tria live permanently. Struggling, the heroes climb to the Knights' mountain tower and are met by two men, one of whom says the support team this time is made up of little adventurers and thanks them for their work. A beast showed up and asked what he was doing here. He said he was pointing out where the previous catch had been found. Normally, he is also a knight. After their long journey, the man offered the children food, and they accepted gladly. They were served fried rabbit, and Ed thanked them for teaching him to skin a rabbit so he could do it himself. Mina was unhappy, and when Raineia asked what had happened, she said she did not like meat. She dislikes it because it's tough and bland. Her friends realized she meant the dried meat they eat at home. Ed offered her a taste of the freshly cooked meat. She started teasing him, and he lost his patience and shoved a piece of meat into her mouth. It pleased her. The meat was tender, juicy, and flavorful. She began eating it greedily. Raineia asked Mr. Bist what had been built next to the hut. The knight's companions agreed it was time to tell and decided it was worth explaining. A road goes beyond these mountains to Alania, the city Raineia's parents come from. The children saw smoke on the mountains, and Ed knew it was a signal fire. Along the road stands a hut like theirs. It also sends smoke signals. White smoke indicates there are no monsters. The Count receives these messages. This was true after several days of riding a horse. Mina said it was cool. Ed and Ronnie turned their attention to something. Smoke rising from another mountain was a different color. A few days later, at the walls of the city of Tria, the citizens open the gates as the caravan has returned to Aldania. Relatives begin to arrive, hug each other, and share how much they missed one another. Raineia ran to meet her father too. Running into their arms, she greeted them. Their father said she had grown up and looked great. It turned out to be smoke, and its color showed the caravan was returning. Nina noticed Raineia looked happy. That evening people sat together and drank. The inhabitants were grateful for the work done to restore Aldania. Mina serves him, tells everyone to eat more, and treats them to a rabbit she cooked herself. Raineia treated the family and said she had helped get spices. Her father said his daughter would now always be able to marry. He turned to Ed and asked if he would marry Raineia. Raineia shouted at her father to stop. Mina blushed and grabbed the hero by the shirt. He didn't understand why she had done it. Two children approached Ronnie's father and asked him what Aldania was. Raineia said she wanted to know too and asked if it was true that no one wanted to live in the city. Mina supported the children. Everyone gathered around the table, and the man understood what they wanted to hear. The city sat around a large lake in the center of a ring of mountains, and it was very beautiful, but a horde of monsters invaded. The city stood empty after a demonic miasma polluted the land, causing the trees and soil to rot. Refugees settled here and founded Lonerda, but the man refused to give up his city. Their team had already noticed the contaminated soil and used purification magic to free the creatures trapped in the miasma. At first, it was just a camp where surviving was hard. Gradually, the camp grew larger. For example, the East Coast has almost fully recovered. The uninhabitable city is a throwback to the past. Residents are happy they can return to their homes in Aldania. The man tells them to calm down, saying they're only discussing a small part. The girl says that if the reconstruction continues, it will eventually happen. The old woman says she will be able to show her grandchildren her hometown. Harris noted that the grandmother would then be bored with living for a long time. Mina noticed everyone looked happy. Guido wiped away his tears and said he was very happy for them. The girl noticed tears welling up. The elf replied he was crying tears of joy. Ed thinks he's never seen the people of Lonerda so happy. Although it sounds exciting, Dorian isn't sure this is something to be happy about. Even if they call it a rebuild, it will still cost money to bring a negative balance to zero. Mina held out a coin and said they had some money. Ed said it wasn't enough. Raineia's father says Linear's economic situation is not strong enough to support a reconstruction project that has been going on for so long. Aldenia's restoration is only halfway done. Lonerda won't hold out, and they will all fall together. Guido asks whether anyone can help, and Dorian says they can't get help from anyone right now. The man told Guido to seek help from the original source, then looked away and said he could not help them because he had no power now. The seller believes they have no other choice. Then someone shouted for everyone to stop panicking. It was Ed saying they were all adults here and wondering why they were also depressed. He shouts that everyone is counting on them. They are their last chance. He suggests they think about how to turn hope into strength. Raineia said if they needed money, they could all work hard. Mina agreed and said she would work hard too and make tea and jam. Raineia's father was surprised she had made jam. The heroes led the adults to the place where they had been picking apples. The man didn't know the apples grew wild there. Mina told him she had found the place while searching for treasure. Raineia says Aldenia used to be a large city known for growing fruit, and her father had his own fruit farm. Seeing this, he would dream of the plantation business making a comeback. The orchards might save Lonerda's economy. He began pushing those thoughts aside because they had no land. Fruit orchards could only be grown in a suitable environment. This place alone was not enough. An idea struck the hero. Everyone followed him, puzzled. He insists there is no other option, and because all the land belongs to the Count, they must speak to him in person. Shouting, Elena said they would build a school. Mina echoed her words. She turned to her comrades and asked them what school was. Raineia told her not to pretend to know when she didn't. Guido apologized on his daughter's behalf. School at Trolley. On weekday mornings, the priest teaches reading, arithmetic, basic rules, and morals to the children of the faithful at the Church of La Folie. Eli said she had come to speak with the Lord and apologized for making the heroes wait. She scolded them for breaking into the castle and said that anyone else would have been treated as criminals. They agree to transfer land for gardens, which is allowed with conditions. The harvest must be sold first in Tria, and the business will continue to grow after Aldenia is restored. Each year they must also make jam and sell it to her. Mina noticed Eli really liked jam. The hero said this was the decisive reason. The girl announces the final main condition her father mentioned. Specifically, the construction of a school in Lanyard. Agricultural activity alone cannot raise the standard of living, he said. Elena agreed with her father that education benefited the city, and history proves it. Even so, when a girl tries to use government money to build a school in a slum, citizens push back and ask why they should give money to poor strangers. Growing your own garden is a good opportunity. If you give it to them, the slums could lose their stigma of poverty. We need to find out how serious they are. Construction of the school will proceed under certain conditions. The man is considering it. Ed said he also wants a school built. Most children in the slums cannot read or write, and those who can do so poorly. Consider Mina. When her name was called, she said she could count 1, 2, 3 many. The hero says it is also necessary to defend against robbers because a group of robbers recently sparked riots, and Jordan stopped the man and said he is not against building a school. He is worried about staffing and who can be trusted to teach. Guido raised his hand and volunteered to be that person. Mina said he hadn't been a good father. The man realized his daughter didn't trust him much. He had once dreamed of becoming a scientist, which was better than waving a sword. He could become a teacher, but classrooms and outdoor spaces must be set up. Getting the Lord's attention for them is tedious. Guido will recruit children. The leading candidates are Ed, Mina, and Raineia. The man was surprised that only 3 people showed up for the class. We are not saying that even the Lord admitted they had a real school. They had to gather more people, and the children ran to do it. They shouted that school was starting, and the kids would be taught. Some knew what school was, some didn't want to study, and some only thought about money. Mina said they can't involve other children, and Raineia doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, someone turned to face the heroes. Harris stood there and said he was at Melon Hospital, and looking at them was painful, so he shouted at the children, asking if they were happy with those earnings. He tells them there is nothing wrong with studying at school. Wisdom and knowledge can help you earn good money. They decided to pick T. They must study or someone as smart as Ed will take everything. Harris is going to school now and asked what the children will do. They thought it over, and one said that if Harris said so he would go too, and the other supported him. Ed thanked his friend for his help. The friend said it was not for Ed's sake but for Leonardus. Guido greeted everyone. He and the students decided to start with the alphabet. They want to understand what's written in the store. A man told the children to read the letters on the board. They read so well that even the man began to cry. Mina saw this and assumed her father did not like working there. Her father denied everything. He suddenly saw a boy clutching his stomach and asked what had happened. He said he was hungry, and soon most of the children's stomachs began to rumble. The man was unsure what to do. Doran and his wife suddenly appeared carrying something. The children asked what it was. The man said it was a school lunch. Ed asked the man why he was doing it. The man said he had decided to help him and his family. For now they treat them, and they may return later as clients. While they learn, they will be fed. The boy sat near the house with a growling stomach. Raineia came over, took his hand, and invited him to join them. Going to school would let him eat. Leonard started. Children like mathematics, biology, magic, physical education, and agricultural work, and the number of students is growing. As the bell rings, Guido announces the start of classes. Eli sees the bell on the roof and says the place is starting to look more like a school. Ed points out the kids made it themselves to make it easier to remind them. Elena liked the idea, then Al acted as if he had heard something. If not, it would be better for him to see it with his own eyes. They organized a real school excursion, and a crowd of children arrived at the site. Their arrival at Lanierta's farm was entirely due to their efforts. Guido tells them that their families and neighbors work here and invites them to come and say hello. Raineia greeted her father, and he greeted her and everyone else. Ed looked around and said it was amazing that so many trees had grown in such a short time. The man said former Elden magicians who had worked on the farms had come to help them. Their efforts have already started sales. Children were invited to try the fruits of that hard work. They were transferred to the surviving Aldanian seedlings. The fruits should be tasty. The kids bit into it and loved how sweet and delicious it was. Walking home, Ed ate an apple and talked about how school and the farm were going well. Mel suddenly runs over to him and says something strange happened. A pile of coins sat on the table. They were payment for unpaid medical care. As everyone began getting income from the farm, they brought some of it to her. They wondered what to do with such a sum. She began planning to get them back. Mina can't see why her mother thinks it's a problem. Money shows gratitude. If they gave it to her, she would be happy. For a long time, their mother's work made them happy. Their parents patted her on the head and said the money was a token of gratitude from everyone in Lanyard. Guido suggested we think carefully about spending the money and ensure it benefits everyone. Ed decided to present his idea, which concerns everyone who comes to their hospital and might please them.